Hebu niambie kama unanisikia. Unanisikia vizuri? Haya. Tururun. Unanisikia? Ngoja. Unanisikia sasa? Niko audible. Okay, sawa. Hi guys. Let's give it 5 minutes or 6 before we start. See if other people could join. I hope you guys can hear me. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. I hope you can hear me, guys. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Nice. So I'm pasting a link to today's session. The link in the chats is basically where we store all these sessions that we hold. The documentation for these sessions, if you have missed previous sessions, you should be able to catch up via the website. So if you go to the website, let me just share my screen real quick. Okay, so if you click the link to take you to this developer experience website, this is where we keep all the sessions that we've previously had. We're going to beef this up with documentations about how to start participating in Cardano, how to build things on Cardano. So yeah, it's still in the early days, but this will be the source of truth if you're preparing to build things on Cardano, basically. So that's the link in the charts is for today's particular session. You can follow along. I will also be posting another GitHub link for a demo I'll be taking you guys through just to illustrate some of the things that we will be talking about in this session. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so I guess we can start. I hope all of you can see my screen. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, nice. We can start. So today's session is just we are trying to let you know, if you don't already, how to set up for Cardano development, basically. How to set up VS Code, some of the extensions you might need, what language we use for most of the tools that are built on Cardano, that is the node, and every other thing, the explorers, the indexers, the CLI tools, what they're built on, and what you should probably know as a developer coming into the space. So for background knowledge, Most of the core repos on Cardano are built on Haskell. We use Haskell as our main programming language because of the programmatic style that it has. So it's a functional programming language. It's trusted mostly for uh, accounting or mathematic-based systems. That's why it was selected, because it's used mostly on peer-researched papers, and it's very accurate with numbers. So that's the main driver as to why Haskell was selected to be used to make the core tools in Cardano. There are other languages that are coming up. We are trying to make Cardano basically multi-language. So there are tools coming up in Rust. There is a node being written in Rust that is still in the test phase, but it should be there probably mid next year. We should start seeing it being used in the network. So yeah, Clinton, if you can, yes, you have a question. Clinton, do you have a question? If you don't, kindly mute. Okay. No question. So as I was saying, so yeah, first and foremost, you need a version control. You need to know your way around version control. Git is our designated version control for mostly, it's default for most of the developers around. So having knowledge in Git is a good thing to have, is a nice to have. If you don't know about Git, there are a lot of YouTube videos pertaining to Git that you can just learn and maybe know what it is about. So version controls, running of the Git commands, because you'll need to clone some of the repos that we use, some of the tools that we use. We have options to install them as packages, or you can just clone the repo itself and install it. So having knowledge in Git is essential for this particular journey. And so some of the development tools, we have VS Code. So we use Haskell as the main language for the repos that we maintain at Intersect. So any Haskell VS Code extension is essential. I can show you one of the Haskell libraries that we have. So maybe you can see the extension that you need to have. Yes, it's Cardano node. So for example, this is the repo for the Cardano node. Like I said, like I mentioned before, it is written in Haskell. And of course, you'd need extensions to help you just understand the syntax, click through those fancy things that extensions will enable you to have when you're developing in a particular language. So Haskell has its own VS Code extension that you will install, and of course, it will help you get around the code base. So this is an example of a Haskell file. This is how it looks. This is how the language feels. Don't be overwhelmed. We are going to have resources to show you how to start on Haskell, how to develop in Haskell. We'll have plenty of resources and guidance on how to start learning and writing Haskell, and eventually participating in maintaining some of the repos we have, solving issues. So yeah, we'll have that in the future. For now, it's just to let you know what is around. So when we get there, things are a bit easier. So yeah, so VS Code extension, and you need to also have GHC installed. This is like the package manager for Haskell packages. So it's NPM, what NPM is to JavaScript, that's what GHC is to Haskell. So it's a package manager for Haskell. You'll also need that installed because you'll be using it to install libraries in your Haskell projects or any Haskell code you'll be writing. So that's just the bit that you need to start writing in Haskell. Nothing too complicated. Once you have GHC installed and the Haskell language, the Haskell server language, you will be able to start writing code in Haskell. So it's very easy to set up, not too difficult. Now, some of the tools we have, some of the things that you might want to be aware of as the tools we've created. So we have CLI wallets. You have options to create wallets via the CLI and also options to create wallets in a browser extensions. So if you haven't seen one before, this is an example of a browser extension in Cardano. I'm sure if you've been in the space, you're aware about wallets, but basically wallet is like a window to the blockchain. So if you want to interact with the blockchain, you need a wallet. This is just basically a set of primary and private keys that you'll use to execute things on the blockchain. So this is just an interface that has been provided for that particular wallet. This interface stores the private and public keys for you so that you can interact with things in the blockchain, send, receive tokens and native assets on the blockchain. So this is an example of a browser. So you can be able to experience the same thing in the CLI, in the command line. And we have some libraries that will enable you to do that. We have libraries that will enable you to set up a wallet, create the private and public keys, be able to create transactions, look at your wallet, look at the balance, just simple queries on the blockchain. So we have a tool that you can use to do basically that. This is the Cardano CLI and the Cardano wallet. So these two libraries will enable you to do that. Let me see. Let me just paste the link to those libraries here. So this is the Cardano CLI. It is well documented here on how to install and use it, but I'll also show you a demo of how you can utilize this towards the end of the call. So I'll just paste this just paste this URLs here for you to see and have a look around. That is Cardano CLI and also the Cardano wallet. Let me see addresses. Yes, so we also have the Cardano addresses. This also enables you to create, use the command line to create seed phrases. From the seed phrases, you can generate private and primary keys, and you can create transactions. You can see the balance of your wallet and whatnot. So this also enables you to interact with the CLI to do things that normally you would do with this wallet. So this sort of creates an abstraction of what is happening behind the scenes, but you can also get to do that by own. If you don't trust the browsers, which I recommend, you should never trust the browser. So if you want to keep things private to you, or if you have big accounts that you want to secure, it is advisable that you use the CLI for that and just store your private keys in a hard drive that only you can access. So never share the private keys over the HTTP because it might be intercepted and you may lose your funds. So those are things that you keep private. That's why it's called a private key. So I'll paste, if I haven't already, let me paste this here. So these two tools allow you to interact with wallets, create and do all the things that wallets do. If you're a geek, which hopefully all of you are hoping to be, you might want to get comfortable running commands on on the CLI, just to query the blockchain and do things. So yeah, the Cardano CLI, I've posted links. It's also written in Haskell, so you can install it using Haskell. The README is properly documented to enable you to install and run it locally. In case you don't have space or time, you can also do a Docker. You can start the CLI or the node, the CLI and the node. So the CLI depends on the node. So you need to have a node running, a node running so that you can run the CLI alongside it. So CLI is just a way to write commands that will be executed in the node. So there are types. The CLI lets you create keys, addresses, build transactions, and query the chain. Running the node directly gives you access to the blockchain from your machine. So when you start up the node is configured to connect to other peers. So there is some default peers that it has, so that it can get information on the network and basically sync to be at par with all the existing network. So the node gives you access directly to the blockchain, and the CLI helps you run commands on that node. So we have different types of nodes. We have a relay and a block producing. So a relay is just used to sync data to sync the current state of the chain across multiple nodes. So that's the function of the relay, to just relay what other nodes are propagating. And then the block producing, this is the node you set up if you want to produce blocks. So there is a procedure of setting up a node producing block. This is what is eventually called an SPO, a stake pool operator. So a stake pool operator would mean that you have a block producing node. There is a whole set of configuration that you do on that particular node for it to be a block producing node. So it's quite different from a relay node, which will just be able to see things on chain, but it wouldn't particularly be able to create a new block and propagate it with transactions. So that's the difference between the relay and the block producing node. So we have different environments that you can run your node on. So there is the mainnet, we have the testnet, and the pre-prod. These are the three different currently supported networks that you can run your nodes in. The other networks that are still in testing phase, but the current ones that I can advise you to work on is the mainnet, pre-prod nets, and the testnet. So the nodes are usually configured. So there is some configuration on the nodes. Let me just see if I can find on those configurations. Okay. Okay, so I think I'll just add them to this later. But there are particular configurations that you add to your node so that you can specify which network you're running, what parameters you want to add to the node. So there are different configurations that are required for the node setup. I will have a separate session for setting up a node that may be doing some SPO things if you want to start a stake pool. If you want to do a block producing node, we'll further dig into that down the line so that we can provide the right information for you if that's the path you want to go to. For now, it's just a basic introduction, but feel free to ask any questions if you have some. So yeah, the config and the topology will define how your node will work. So there are different topologies for different networks. There are also different configs for different networks. That's just the important thing you need to note for now. We'll explain more about those configurations, what they mean, what they represent on the Cardano blockchain, because there are several configurations for different eras on Cardano. So the different eras just show the different upgrades that have been done to the network. And for those different updates, we have different configurations that are required so that the node can be fully up to date with the changes and have changes of different sections within its evolutionary development. So we'll get deep into that later, but for now, it's just to mention some of the things. Yeah, so why these tools? Why would you need to run these tools, or when would you really need to run this tool? So in most cases, you will almost never want to run the node locally unless you have something that you're building that you need direct access to the blockchain. And even for that, we do have easier ways to follow. We have Block Frost that you can use as a third party to just query the blockchain. But if you have some custom application that would need information on the chain, on-chain, that is not particularly available to those third parties, that is one of the instances that you may want to run your own node. And what the node helps you with is just to get the real live data. You can be able to query it and manipulate the data as you'd want. If you're creating an explorer, for example, those third-party queries, third-party entities that query the chain for you would not be able to get you those very specific information on chain. So running your own node would be a good thing for you. With Node, you can run different environments. So preview or pre-prod locally. You can power your own explorers if you're making an indexer. If you want to connect to tools like Ogmuse and just do an end-to-end test, that's one of the instances you might need your own node. Okay, so when to use the CLI? When you have a standard tool for keys. So if you want to keep your own keys, you don't need to expose them anywhere or use a browser-based extension. You just want to keep everything in one place where you can track them and not share them on the internet. Using the CLI to do that would be the best choice. So especially for people who have big wallets, the CLI is always the best option for them to use. They keep the things super private. They never have to, so people cannot hack their machines and just go and collect keys, because this wallet just stores things on the browser. So if we do inspect this, I can show you right now, everything is just stored here on the browser. Although they try to hash your private key with the password that you put, the spending password. But if people can crack that hash, they can get to your wallet. So if you want to keep things safe, it's probably advisable to just use the CLI to maintain everything. This is the block list, the keys. So here are the keys. So once you create a wallet here, the things are just stored on the browser. So if people can break into your machine, they will be able to collect some information that can enable them to try and break into your wallet. So yeah, if you need extra security, it's probably advisable to use the CLI. Make sure you store your own private and public keys so that they're not exposed like this. So there's enough information here. If you can decode how they're hashing the password to your private key, you can be able to break into this wallet. Although it might be hard to do that, but it's still a possibility. So if you need more security, it's advisable to just use the CLI and make sure you keep the private keys private to you completely. So it's not on the browser. Even if you lose your laptop, if someone accesses your browser instances, they can't be able to get that data. So that's one of the reasons you might want to use the CLI. So with the CLI, you can do exactly what you do on the browser wallets. Let's generate keys, build balances, register certificates, submit governance actions. Actually, submitting governance actions is also most of the time it involves a lot of ADA, especially if you're a DREP or you're doing some governance voting, or you're submitting a governance action. That requires a lot of ADA. So most of those actions are usually done via the CLI. Yeah, so if you're looking for another alternative and you don't need to run the node locally, as I stated earlier, we have external APIs that are good for this sort of thing. One of the most popular one is Blockfrost. Let me just try and open the collection here to show you the things that you can be able to query with Blockfrost. So Blockfrost is one of the providers, a third-party provider, or an API that you can use to query the chain. So yeah, there are different endpoints of things that you want to do. And if you're building a D app or just an app, a Blockforce will probably have a lot of what you want, unless you're doing something complicated, like some DREP or governance things that I think Blockforce is still behind on. But if you're doing the basic get transaction, get address, UTXOs of an address, get pool details, just query transactions, I think Blockforce will have everything you need most of the time. So if you're building, Blockforce should be your best option for that. It's an API that gives you, I think, 1,000,000 requests for free, so 1,000,000 requests per day. So if you can be below 1,000,000 requests per day, I think Blockfrost can help you with that. But if you surpass that, you'll have to pay. But below 1,000,000 requests per day, I think it's free. So it's the best option if you want an alternative to running the node locally. There are others, but for now, Blockfrost, I think it's the best to start with because it's easy. And as you can see, this is the entire collection. If you ever need to query anything, if you have an address, you need to get the list of UTXOs or a specific assets in a particular address, Blockfrost is the best option for you. So it's super easy to use. They have some good documentation. We'll update all that information here so that you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, they can help you query UTXOs, blocks, transactions, and all that. Okay, so how to work on open source or in Intersect, basically. So how can you participate in open source? So we will dive into this in detail to the letter to show you how to do PRs, how to, for example, start learning, start studying this tools and repos and how to do that. But yeah, basically, this is just a basic rundown. Read the README, review open issues. If there's something you can tackle, that's probably the best way to do it. Forking the repository. So the Git knowledge we mentioned, this is where that comes in handy. Creating your own branch, if it's a feature, if it's a fix. Those are just some of the technicalities that we will go deeper into. Running the tests and pushing and making a pull request with the changes. So we will dive more into this in the coming days. But yeah, this is just the basic information of how you need to get started as a developer. So we have the version control, VS Code, a terminal instance. You can use Bash or WAP. If you need some AI assistance, you can use WAP, CLI. Yeah, so that's some of the tools you may need for the CLI interaction. So the CLI itself, the Cardano node, the APIs, we have Blockfrost, we have Ogmios, Kios, we have other providers. We have a list, Cardano GraphQL, that you can use if you want to interact with the blockchain. So some of the configurations, this just determine what kind of node or what network of the node you want to run. So yeah, that's just the basics of how to get started as a developer. I'm going to show you a demo of how you might want to use the Cardano CLI if you want to practice on creating addresses locally and just testing them out. I can show you a demo of how to set that up, how to set up a node locally, if you want to just run a node and see what happens in a node. For the sake of time and maybe to save you on the headache, I would advise you to use Docker to run the node locally, so you don't have to run it on your machine. You can just run it virtually to save you the headache of incompatibilities and all that. Yeah, so running with Docker is the best bet if you're starting, so that you don't have to be stressed about missing things or the things not running. Just to save you on the debugging, Docker will be the best option. So I have pasted a Git link here. I'll just do it again in case someone's not seeing it, but you will find it here, the Cardano CLI demo. I can paste the link again. Basically, I was trying to set up just an easy thing you can use if you want to create an address locally and play around with it, set up the node locally and play around with it. This should help you do that. I have tried to document a few commands that I think are essential. And I think are essential for you doing that. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. So yeah, I've tried to write some documentation on things you might need to know. These are just some of the commands you can run if you're creating addresses, how to build a stake address. I've also documented some of the terminologies just to make it easier for you guys, some of the concepts that you might find here. What is a private key? What is a public key? Each command key generation process, the addresses, what they mean, the different addresses, type of addresses that we have. So from your private keys, once you generate the private keys, private and public keys, once you generate the keys, you can be able to create either of these addresses. So there is the enterprise address that only has the payment address. So you can create a payment address. If that is usually used for smart contracts that don't require the staking address, but for the base address, this constitutes both the payment address. So it constitutes the payment address and the staking reward address. So there's another separate address that you can use to track your rewards, or that is where your rewards are paid to. It's called a stake address. So when you stake to a pool, the rewards will be sent to the stake address, which is a bit different from the normal payment address that you would use to send or receive ADA. So the stake address is used internally to track your delegation and the rewards that you receive. And then a script address, this is usually for smart contracts. So once you write a script, a native script for your smart contracts, you can create an address from that script. and that address will follow the rules that you specified in the smart contract. So there are different types of address, and I try to document that for you so you don't get confused. And then the format that we use to make the address. So you can see there's a bit of some human readable text. So this is S32 encoding. It's what we use in Cardano to just identify addresses. As you can see here, there's payment addresses are different from the reward addresses or the staking addresses. They're sort of different. So this allows us to differentiate that, just to add some human readable part into the address so that people can just recognize what type of address this is. The UTXO model, what it is, I've tried to document it so that when you're running things on the CLI, you can just come and reference things. So they're asking you to put a UTXO, you can just come and learn what a UTXO is and how you can use it in your transaction. So for example, you can use the CLI to query the UTXOs in your addresses. And this would be the result of that query. So this will enable you to see the UTXO balances in your wallet that you've created. And you can know what a UTXO is from here and the benefits of why we use it. And then a transaction, the stages of the life cycle of a transaction. When you're building using the CLI, it would be important to know how to build it, what you need to do after building, and how to submit it. Yeah, so I've tried to document as much as I could on this bit so that when you're doing this on your own, it's very, very easy. For now, I think we can run a few things. I've already started this service. So if once you clone this Docker Compose app, we'll just start the service and you'll have a node running. One thing to probably take account of is the node takes a bit of time because it needs to sync with the peers, the already existing node, to get the latest information. So it will take some time to sync with the other peers so that they're at par with the information. So there are a few things you cannot do before it's fully synced. Let me just check. So I started mine in the morning. Let me just see where it has reached. Okay, so I'm still at 42%. So there are a few things I still cannot do, things like submitting transactions, querying the latest balances for my transactions. Those are things that I cannot do as of now because my node is still not yet there. It doesn't have the full information of the entire network. So there are things you can't query, you can't submit a transaction until your node reaches the tip of the blockchain. So those are some of the limitations. But once you set this up, you might want to give it 3 to 4 hours to just sync. If it's heavy on your machine, you don't need to do it. You can always use Block Frost. So it's free. If you're just testing, it's super free. So you can download the collection and just run it locally. But if you do want to run it and just see how far you can get, you can start it and give it a few hours to just sync. Once it's at the tip, it will be ready for you to submit transactions and query the current state of the chain. So even if you create an address and send to it before it finishes syncing, we might not be able to get that transaction because we haven't yet reached that block. I hope that makes sense. As you can see right now, my current node is at epoch 473. Let's just see what the current epoch is. Yeah, so epoch. Yeah, so we're halfway there. So I have to reach here so that I can get the full information of the blockchain. But there are several things we can do as we wait. Right, here it is. There are several things we can do as we wait. We can make our own wallet, basically. We can generate a wallet. generates the different types of addresses I've just shown you, generate the private and public keys, and have a wallet that we can now use to send ADA and receive ADA, and we can have keys to it. So I think that's what we can do for now as we wait. I had some commands pre-written so that we don't waste a lot of time. If you can follow along, that's also fine. Once you start the Docker Compose, you can start creating the wallets. The only thing you won't be able to do is maybe send and receive transactions. Let's see. Okay. Let's preview this so we can run these commands. We can run these commands to create our wallets using the CLI. So yeah, this is a shorthand I've created. So when you set up a Docker instance, you need to run the commands inside that Docker container. So I've created like a shorthand, this CLI hash. This will abstract all this Docker compose command that you need to write. It will abstract it and just creates for you a shorthand that you can use. So yeah, wherever you see this CLI command, just calling the shorthand, which in turn is this, so Docker compose exec into the container and run this command CLI. So that's just a shorthand so that you don't have to always write the whole thing. Yeah, you can find me later if it's still confusing, but running these commands, this is just to check the tip where you've reached. Just check if you've synced fully with 3%. Not yet there. Okay. So we can generate the private and public keys. Let's do that. Running that command will create some files for us. So as you can see here, we have some two keys that we've generated, the payment signing key and the payment verification key. So this is basically the public key and the private key. There's the signing key, is the private key. Is like the password to, it's like a password to your wallet. That's what you need to put into to actually make the transaction. And then the verification key, this is the public key that is used to derive your addresses. So this is basically like your account number. Then the payment key is the password to your account. And this is your account number. So you need those two files. Those are the two things. That's where we start before generating a wallet. That's where we start. We create the private and the public keys. Then you can start creating your wallets. Okay, so this will generate a stake address. Let's do that. So running that should create also the stake address for you. So we have the signing stake address. So if you're doing any, what's it called? Any delegation thing, this is what you'd use to sign that transaction for. So we have the signing key, the stake signing key, and the stake verification key. So this is where this is what is to generate that stake address. Now we can now build, so from our payment keys, the payment verification key, we can now generate an enterprise address. So this is the address that your wallet will make for you when you start up your wallet. So we have the enterprise address. This is the payment address, sorry. So this is the payment address to only support payments. As you can see, it's an example of what you'd see when you create a wallet on the browser. So we have this human readable, and then this one just specifies the network. Okay. So now we can generate the base address. This is what now you'll typically find in your wallet address. So it's much longer than the payment key. That's one of the differences you'd notice. Yeah, as you can see, it's longer than if we were to put them next to each other. It's a bit longer because it contains two things. It contains the stake address and the payment address. So this contains everything, information about your stake, your staking credentials, and your payment credentials. That's why it's longer than the payment key. So there's a bit of difference, but this is the default that you'd use, or you will see around. This is the default. So I'll just delete that for now. Cool. So yeah, the last thing we will build now is the stake address. So from our stake verification key, we can make our stake address. So stake address mainly used for delegation purposes. As you know, Cardano is very decentralized. So most of the things you'd have to vote, and there is delegation. If you want to delegate your stake to a staking pool, this stake address is what we use for all that. Yeah, so as you can see here, here's our stake address. As you can see, this human readable parts will help you identify which type of address that is. So yeah, for now, this is all we can do to just create a wallet. So this is a wallet that you can send ADA to. Let's just try that right now. This is a testnet wallet that you can be able to send ADA to. Let's see if we can send some ADA here. Let's send 100 test ADA. Let's sign that transaction. Okay, something's happening. Wallet. Let's try this all accounts. Let's see. Okay, that API is, let me see. Let's try to the VPN, see if it works. Preview. Hope I have some other here. Okay, let's see if we can send it here. Network. Okay, this one works. So send that address. I can remember the password. Okay, nice. So transaction sent to a newly created address. Let's wait for it to finalize on chain. Then we can confirm. Cool. So that's all for today. I think you have all the resources you need. If you need to play around with the CLI, If you need help in building anything, feel free to reach out to us in our Discord. So to get into this Discord server, you probably need to create an account with Intersect. So Intersect and Bio, create an account there, then you'll have access to our Discord server. Once you have access to the Discord server, you can find us at the Developer Advocate Water Cooler. If you need help in finding resources, if you're building anything and you'd want guidance on how to, or where to get things, the Developer Advocate Water Cooler is probably the best place for you to reach out to us. You can also reach out to me personally. If you come here, you'll find that all the developer advocates have a special tag, developer advocate, so you can just DM any of us that you find in this chat if you need to discuss something. But yeah, our transaction has been confirmed. Let's just check in the Explorer. So ideally, if our node was on the current epoch, if the syncing would be complete, we would be able to do all that transaction in the CLI. So we would be able to send and receive things and check the state of our wallet in the CLI. But since it's still syncing and might take a couple of hours, we can just check that the address has received the funds because it's still confirming. Yeah, so here is the transaction. Yeah, is the transaction, is the wallet. This is the stake address, sorry. HXOs. Yeah. So here are the addresses that I've exchanged. Yeah, so our newly created wallet has received that amount. Here's the confirmation hash. So I'm going to leave the rest of the 10 minutes maybe to questions if you have any. Any questions from the floor? Yes, Ian.
My question.
Yeah.
In the case like when you to Dockerize or put a node in a container.
I can't hear you, seems to have an echo.
Let me put it in the chat.
While he's chatting, while he's texting that out. Any other question? Okay, so if another question, we can wait for that in the chat. How do we go about containerizing internal node and the dependencies in a light way? So we do already have some pre-built images that you can use, like this that I'm using right now. It's a pre-built image from Intersect. So we have a Dockerized node that you can use. For this one, you don't need to specify a lot of things. The configuration comes baked in. So once you select the network, the rest of the configuration is already baked into the node. So you don't need to worry about that. I just need to expose the ports to where you want them to go to. Yeah, so use this image in the repo. This is the easiest and a very lightweight image that we created at Intersect. So we do maintain this Intersect node. So I would advise you to use this. This is going to be very light. It's very light, except for the hours you will have to wait for the node to sync. That's the only thing that is a bit difficult to in this process. But yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. Hope to see you on the next one. We usually have these sessions every week. So in an alternate order. So if today we're having it on Wednesday during the day, next week it's going to be on a Thursday in the evening. So we do alternate these lessons. So in case someone missed this, they can be able to catch the video. We're going to add these recordings on this sessions. So we'll have the recordings on top here. You can watch the video, go through the documentation. We'll have another session next Thursday. Please make sure you attend. If you have any other questions, remember you can reach out to us in the Discord channel. Yeah, if you're in Nairobi, I'll be here at the Blockchain Center every Thursday for those Cardano hackathons that we're preparing for. Yeah, so if you haven't signed up, reach out to someone in the WhatsApp group. I'll be here on Thursdays if you need to talk more. If you need to learn about more opportunities available in Cardano, I'll be here on Thursdays, every Thursday. So yeah, see you then. And thank you guys for joining. I'll just stay on the call in case anyone has anything, but you can drop off if you need to. Thank you for joining. Yes, someone.
So with regards to the hackathons, when are they starting?
I think there's more information on the Cardano devs WhatsApp group. I don't know if you have access to that.
No, I don't.
Let me just paste my number here. Reach out to me so I can see how I can help you with that information.
Okay. And
Let's
is this hackathon the same one that Cards and Prisma were facilitating? Is it the same hackathon?
Cats, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if it's for cats, yes. I'll be facilitating some of the sessions, the Thursday sessions, just to help you guys find your way around Cardano if you're building things on it while preparing for that particular hackathon. So just to make your life easier. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So if you have no other questions, you can drop, guys. Don't be afraid. Oh, for the Discord link, I don't know if it's left already, but to get the Discord link, you'd have to create an account with us at Intersect, after which you'll have access to that Discord link. Join now, register as a member. It's free, unless you want to do other things on the app. There's a payments tier on the membership, but it's free. It's free. So you can join and you'll have links to that. So on the website, we also have ways to join and how to get the links. So we have all that information on the website. It's for the people who registered for the Thursday meetups are for people who registered for the CATS hackathon. I think there was a sign-up form being sent around. So yeah, the meetup is basically for those people who registered. If you need to register, you can reach out to me. I see if I can do anything for you. My number is on the chat if you need to register for that hackathon. Okay, guys, my time is up here. See you on the next one. Thank you for joining.